Hello and welcome to Food Rebels. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs and live on-air tastings, show dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste judge, lots of food, different food award judge, business owner. And today I have with me Georgie Parsons, our producer. Hi, thank you for joining us. We've got some really interesting kind of products and guests in the show today, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
We're going to meet two people who are kind of experts about oats, I think we could say. So we've got Kieran Stanbridge from One Good Thing. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
And we've also got Eva Danchova. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Perfect.
Phew. From Oat Avenue. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So Kieran, can you tell me a little bit about One Good Thing, sorry.
It's all about oats, though.
It is all about oats. I'm so excited.
So we are a sustainable snack brand, but we are the world's first wrapper-free. So our bars don't have any plastic waste at all. They have a natural edible coating that you eat just like you would an apple or a bakery item. The wrapper, the edible coating acts like a traditional wrapper would. So it's safe to eat, but it protects you from all the nasties. And yeah, we're eliminating plastic from the snacking industry.
Oh, really cool. That's amazing. I can't wait to see what they look like. And Eva, can you tell me a little bit about your business, Oat Avenue?
Yeah, sure. So we are the UK's first granola butter. And in case you're wondering what granola butter is, it's basically like a nut butter, but it's made out of oats instead. So it's completely nut-free, sesame-free, gluten-free. It's top 40 allergen-free, so anyone can enjoy our product.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds so cool. I can't wait to taste all of these. I love oats.
Yeah, I love oats too.
Right, Kieran, let's start with yours. So how on earth have you made a product that has no packaging? I mean, surely it's got to have individual wrapping or something. How does that work?
Yeah, so I joined the business about 12 months ago. So I'm one of the co-founders that took it to kind of the One Good Thing era. But prior to that, the business has been going for about 4 years. So a team of scientists, including one of the co-founders, Dan, have been in the lab for the past 4 years testing and seeing how we can fundamentally make the technology that allows us to wrap our product. So the idea was to create an edible plastic, and then we decided to move forward and put it on oat and protein bars. So yeah, it's taken 4 years of R&D. We launched last September to market. So it literally acts like a traditional plastic wrapper would. You can rinse it under the tap, so it's hydrophobic, or put it in your pocket and enjoy it for later. And it keeps in all of the taste and moisture as a normal plastic wrapper would.
That is crazy.
Yes.
I suppose, though, it's like fruit or anything, isn't it? That comes with its own kind of organic coating and we just rinse that under the tap and then eat it. I mean, I suppose it's not massively different to that idea.
Not at all. And I think when I joined the brand, a lot of it was around changing consumer behaviour. So how are we going to get consumers open to the idea of eating a wrapper-free snack bar? And I think when I was in the grocer the other week and we were talking about how do we change that behaviour, and I said, well, it's just like a bakery item. When you go into a supermarket, you don't think anything twice of picking up a loose bread roll and eating it. But as soon as you say a snack and protein bar, they're like, oh my God, the germs. And you're like, actually, you can't wash a loose bakery item, but just like an apple or an
That's
OGT
so
bar,
interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that. Obviously, you go in and you get your croissant or your pain au chocolat and don't even think about twice about eating that.
But as soon as you put it into the snacking
category, I totally
hygiene.
agree. I totally agree.
But and also I used the analogy the other day is how many times do you go into a supermarket, take a can off the shelf and drink it without wiping around the top of the can? You don't, and actually that's had a lot of things running around over it. You know, that's not a protective environment. So for us, it's about challenging consumers' behaviour to say, actually, this is a really safe alternative way of snacking that actually doesn't leave a plastic footprint. So there's 144 million tonnes of plastic packaging waste each year. So we can just remove a small proportion of that. It's making a good impact for the planet.
That's brilliant. I mean, I actually remember the increase in plastic coming in my childhood, because there was a point where you didn't really get that much processed food. We certainly didn't. It was all kind of pure ingredients and nothing was individually wrapped. And I do remember this concept of, you know, I can remember my mum picking up like a bananas and they're in a big plastic bag and her going, why have they done that? That's a bit nonsense. And I really remember this. And then suddenly that became the norm, didn't it? That everything was wrapped in plastic unnecessarily.
Absolutely. You know, supermarkets are challenging the status quo with that now, especially with EU regulations, but also UK regulations about single-use plastic. But this is a challenging time to launch a brand like us because we're in that post-COVID era where everyone's really focused on hygiene.
Sure.
But actually, you know, as we go on with society, we need to understand that we do need to reduce plastic, and the fact that this is we do microbiome swabbing at the office, so you literally get it and you can swab it and it gives you like a bacterial reading. And literally as soon as you rinse it under the bar, it's just like any other product, if not better, when it comes to those readings. So it really is about changing the mindset of consumers to go, actually, this is really safe. You don't need to have plastic on everything to know that it's hygienic and clean.
I mean, can we try one?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a oat range and a protein bar range. So I'll take these out.
So this comes in, the packaging that it arrives in, so is a cardboard packaging.
Yeah.
And then within that cardboard packaging, you have, what is that? How
So this
many
is
there?
a 12 box.
12 box
Yeah.
of individual
Cubes.
cubes.
Yeah. So they're literally like a traditional, I won't say other competitors, but traditional snacking brand. But ours are in a square as opposed to kind of a rectangular shape.
Yeah.
So this is our direct-to-consumer packaging. So this is designed to go straight through the door. So we have a subscription model where people get them delivered to them. But also it's really important that when we are a sustainable brand, that every part of our journey is sustainable. So for example, we use Royal Mail as our delivery supplier because the majority of the last mile is always on foot. And they go to the majority of the streets in the UK on a daily basis. So again, when we're doing everything when it comes to the business, we look at what is our sustainable footprint, make sure that we are living up to the expectation that we're
That's
setting.
really cool.
So do they have you got different flavours?
Yes, so there are 6 snack flavours and 6 protein flavours. So you've got like lemon drizzle, berry burst,
Yeah,
salty caramel.
strawberries and cream, berry burst, sticky ginger. Oh, banoffee.
Oh, no.
You're not going to go for that. You don't like bananas, but I do. So I'm going to try that one.
I'm going to try the lemon drizzle.
It's really interesting when you see people hold them and smell them for the first time. So it is a wax-based coating. So the majority of the coating is made out of beeswax with other natural ingredients. And it is really safe to eat and digest.
So it's really interesting because to me, it's almost looks like it could be like a little bar of soap or something.
So we get dishwasher tablets, soap, you name it. You know, it's a really
but in a very
interesting-
friendly way.
Yes, but I'm going to be really transparent. They are a Marmite product, so you know I think with the coating particularly, it's interesting to see how people navigate it.
I've just asked for permission to bite into that, even though he's just spent 5 minutes explaining that that's the whole concept.
So are these suitable for vegans?
No, so they're not a vegan bar because they've got beeswax and honey in
I'm
them.
glad I asked.
Oh, good catch.
So one of the reasons why we're not vegan, I think it's an important part to say, is that because we use beeswax, we looked at using other synthetic type waxes. They won't work as kind of with our other natural ingredients that make it work. And actually, I think it's really important with consumers to have an all natural ingredients as part of the journey. So that was a really important part to play. So as much as we'd love to be vegan, it's not something that we can do right now.
It's really interesting. So there's a piece of sort of, is it sugar paper or something on the
Yes,
top?
rice paper.
Rice paper with your logo and it actually has the flavour of the product.
So that's printed with an E number, an all natural E number. It's actually the same E number as black olives.
All
So
right,
again,
okay.
even that's natural.
So it's all really natural. And as you bite into it, there is a moment where you feel like, am I supposed to bite into this? And then you do bite into it and you're like, oh, yes, no, I am definitely.
Yeah.
And although it looks very robust on the outside, actually when you bite in, it's remarkably thin, isn't it?
It's almost
this coating.
It's kind of flapjacky,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Inside. But you can smell the beeswax
Yes.
when you put it to your nose to take a bite.
So one of the MPD roadmaps that we're working on at the moment is deodorising that or putting a flavour to it, because that's definitely a hurdle we've seen with some consumers adopting the product, because it's like, oh, this doesn't feel normal to eat, but
No.
it is absolutely natural.
But it's actually thin because when you have honey and they have the beeswax, the cone in it,
Yes.
isn't it? And you do it and it's like chlorine and
Yeah.
it sticks to your teeth. This isn't sticking to your teeth. You are cutting through that very quickly.
Yeah.
It's super thin.
Yes.
And it's not falling to bits once I've chewed into it. So it's not like all the inside
very
is suddenly
robust, isn't it?
falling apart. Yeah, it's very robust.
And I can imagine if you are on the go and you're hungry, you could absolutely, that would really fill a hole. It feels very, it feels like a good energy, like a protein ball, but not as kind of dense as a protein ball.
So what's really interesting is that some of our big communities are runners, cyclists, etc. And one of our other co-founders, he's an avid cyclist. So that's where the passion came from, to remove litter from the countryside. But yeah, I think because when you are on the go or you're running for training, etc., there are no bins about, so you're not having to worry about stuffing wrappers everywhere, or if you're on the bike, etc.
Okay.
So that's kind of definitely a USP that we're seeing.
Wait, which ones are the protein ones?
So they've got protein above them. So you kind of the icons, the icons are the oat bar flavour, and then the protein are labelled slightly differently.
Oh, so the one I had was protein. I'm going to just bite into the strawberries and cream one because it caught my eye. So like an apple, you would literally just put that in the pocket of your suit jacket in your backpack, whatever.
Yeah.
And you just pop it in. And how does it perform if it gets crushed?
We have done so many tests on these bars in bags, chucking them down the stairs, etc. They're really robust because they're quite dense as a bar. What is quite deceiving because people think they're kind of, are they good value for money? They're square, etc. Actually, they've got more grams than the most snack bars on the market. So they're actually 39 gram bar, where most bars on the market are 35, or if not, some of the biggest selling ones are 30 grams of their flapjack. So you actually get quite a lot of value for money in our bars, but the size is deceiving. So not only do we have to get people over the idea of eating the coating, but also driving home that there is good value for money in the product. But the protein ones are also we also use fava bean and fava bean protein. So again, kind of not using dairy within our product. So again, really looking about how can we be the most sustainable in the way that we deliver our product, right back to its key message of being wrapper free, but actually what is the other impact our business is having on the environment. So pea and fava bean protein are what drives a protein bar range.
I can see how easily this would be to take out onto a training run or whatever you were doing. Because, as you said, without the wrapper, you don't have to think about also trying to shove the wrapper back into your pocket while you're running along, whatever it is you're doing. I could see, and also I could have a bite of that and then I actually could put that back in my pocket.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily need to eat the whole thing in one go.
Yeah. And they are, a lot of people say they are really surprisingly filling once you've had one.
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
Yeah.
I've literally, I've just had half of two and they're really filling.
Delicious though, and I love all the different flavors. I think that adds an element of fun as well as when you're training, those protein bars get really boring, don't they?
And what's really interesting is when we were launching the product into market, we wanted to give flavors people were used to, because if you're getting them to adopt a new way of thinking or exhibiting or eating, they want familiarity in it. So we use a lot of flavors they'll be familiar with, so like lemon drizzle, salted caramel. Chocolate is huge in the protein bar space purely for the fact that it masks a lot of the horrible dryness when it comes to protein. We would love a chocolate version, but we're not going to because it's not sustainable. So actually, I can say exclusively that next month we're launching a carob and orange bar. So carob is a sustainable alternative for chocolate, and we've developed a carob and orange bar that tastes phenomenal, and again will allow consumers to swap out their kind of cocoa habits for carob and orange through our sustainable product.
Love it. It's really, really cool.
I really like the concept. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting and different.
Eva, I want to talk to you about these incredible looking granola butters. The smell of them, I'm getting this lovely waft of aroma from them. Tell me about how you came up with this concept.
So let me take you back to 2020. It was during the first lockdown when my husband and I started working from home. And that was a time where you couldn't really see your friends, or restaurants were shut down. So there was nothing much to do apart from baking banana breads and watching Netflix.
Yeah, you remember it well?
Yeah. Sourdough for me.
Okay. And we just had more time on our hands and we just started baking a lot. So we started baking brownies, cookies. We even tried pastries as well. And then we kind of fell in love with oats because we're both vegan and I myself, I'm gluten-free. So in pretty much every recipe there was either oat milk or oat flour or oats. And we kind of got obsessed with oats. And I remember one day, it was in June 2020, it was the hottest day ever. I couldn't fall asleep. So I was just laying in bed thinking about business ideas. And I was like, why don't we try and blend up oats and kind of like make a nut butter, but out of oats? And so the morning after, I shared the idea with my husband. I wasn't sure whether he'll say yes because he hates nut butters. He doesn't like that texture. But he was interested enough, and we've baked some granola the day before, and so we just went into the kitchen. We blended it up with some coconut oil in our Vitamix, and the first few attempts weren't that great, but we kept pushing, we kept testing the recipe, and it took about 8 months to get to a stage where we were happy with the recipe, the texture, the flavor, and we launched May 1st, 2021, and it's been full on ever since because it's just me and my husband. But it's been such a wonderful journey.
Wow, so you're making it all and producing it and marketing it and doing everything.
We don't produce it anymore. So we were producing it at home for the first year and a half because we are an allergen-free product, and it's actually very difficult to find an allergen-free manufacturer in the UK. Yeah. It's almost impossible. And so for the first year and a half, we were making it at home, and that was a big challenge. But now that we've outsourced manufacturing, we're just so grateful that someone else can do it for us. And obviously, we couldn't really scale up at home, but now we are onto something big. So
this is brilliant. Can we try some of these?
Yeah, please do.
this is an alternative for a peanut butter or an almond butter or
Yeah,
anything.
so
So if
for
you
any
have a nut
spreads.
allergy or, because all schools now are nut-free, aren't they? So this is a fascinating product. So which one are we going to start with?
Maybe the original flavor, because
Yeah.
it's our bestseller, and it also has 3 stars from the Great Taste Awards.
It's got 3-star
Yeah,
great
it
taste.
does.
That is not easy.
Oh, I
That is
know.
not easy at all. Wow.
Yeah, actually, when we received the results, we basically like opened up the email and we were like, wait, 3 stars? What does that mean? So we had to Google, what does it mean if you have 3 stars from Great Taste Awards? And then when we discovered that they actually give it to 2% of the entrants, we were like,
Less
wow.
than 2%.
Less than 2%.
We had Christabel Cairns here from the Guild of Fine Food explaining about the competition only a few weeks ago. And she was saying, I think it was 1.5 one year and 1.8 last year. I mean, it really is so few products get the 3 stars. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but that was not what I was expecting. It's crunchy.
It is crunchy, yeah.
What's the crunch?
It's the oats. So we basically roast the oats and then we grind them into a paste.
That's amazing.
It's a very new texture. It's a very unique texture.
Very different
I think people
texture.
expect a smoother texture because they think of nut butters like peanut butter. But yeah, this is something in between, like a smooth and a crunchy texture.
It's totally different. Really nice. And I love your packaging as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we tried to kind of go colorful and bold because obviously it's such a new product and we wanted people to kind of pay attention to it when they see it on the shelf. And obviously every flavor comes in a different color. So
It's really lovely. There's a sort of roasted nut flavour coming through, but there's a sweetness, but it's not really sweet. There's a sort of fruit sweetness. Is there like pumpkin seeds and things in there?
No. It's just oats. We use a little bit of organic coconut sugar, olive oil, and sea salt. And this one has cinnamon.
Cinnamon in it.
Oh, you can taste the salt on the finish.
yeah.
It's lovely. It's got a complexity to it that actually is taking you on a journey as you're tasting it. It's
Yeah.
absolutely divine.
Karen, do you want to try one? There's that one there.
And we're having these. Eva's put it on little slices of apple for us to taste it, which is great.
So what are the other flavours you've got going? So
we
that
have-
was the original one.
Yeah, that's the original. We have a chocolate flavor, we have a raspberry flavor, and a chai spice flavor. So we kind of have a flavor for everyone.
I'm going to try the chocolate one.
Yeah.
Wait, is it this one?
here? Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, basically you can use it the same way you use your nut butters on toast, on porridge, pancakes, rice cakes. You can bake with it. It's super versatile, and yeah, we have a lot of parents buying it for their kids to take to school.
I think
agree with you though. It's not what you expect.
No.
It's amazing. The texture's amazing.
Yeah.
I like the crunch on it. I think
I
it's
like the
really
crunch.
interesting. So is it high in? I mean, it must be quite good for you.
Yeah, it is. So we use very clean ingredients because we wanted to keep it as healthy as possible. So we don't use palm oil or rapeseed oil. We use olive oil, and we use coconut sugar instead of cane sugar or any other sweeteners.
Is coconut sugar better for you?
Yeah, so coconut sugar has the lowest glycemic index compared to all the other sugars out there.
So it doesn't give you that high spike. It
Yeah.
kind of just rises and falls. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Because we could always go down the road of using maybe stevia or other artificial sweeteners, but
Stevia is
it's
so
not
bitter.
Yeah, it's really. I wouldn't eat it myself. So we'd rather use real sugar than something artificial.
And so where do you source your oats from?
So they're from Scotland. So we source our oats and sea salt from Scotland.
Lovely.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
The chocolate one was really nice. I actually do think the original one's maybe my favourite though. I haven't tried.
Yeah, it's the most everyday flavor because of the cinnamon. It kind of tastes like Biscoff, which is a flavor that people enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually when people try, they're like, "Oh, it tastes like Biscoff but healthier."
It
and
is.
then-
It's really cleverly sweetened, I think, where it is sweet because it's a granola and granola's sweet. But it's not feeling really sweet. It's quite subtly done. It's a nice level. I've just tried the raspberry. How have you done that? Is that real raspberry?
It's freeze-dried raspberries.
Freeze-dried, yeah.
So you get these little bits of raspberries, and then you have that sourness that comes through.
And that little seedy thing going
Yeah.
on that makes you think of raspberries, which
Yeah.
is good.
I don't know if you've experienced, but kind of with it being an oat business ourselves, like when you've gone from like being at home making it, which kind of we do with our bars on a lower level, to scaling it in production, like it can be quite challenging with oats as a
Very
an
challenging.
ingredient to kind of
Yeah.
take it from kind of like handmade to kind of a scaling production environment. Like the way that oats react with other ingredients, like it can be definitely a journey to overcome, to get it right, to get it just as what you had when you made it handmade.
Yeah, and also when you're the UK's first, I'm sure you're the UK's first,
Yeah.
and so we are. No manufacturer knows
Yeah.
how to produce a product like that, so
Yeah.
you have to like guide them through and teach them, which is a challenge in
And
itself.
it's one of the reasons why we actually kind of, this is actually a world first. Like there's no one doing what we're doing. We've actually had to build our own factory and machinery, so we actually can't use a third party supplier as much as I'd love to. We have to have all the operational overheads of our own factory, which is challenging.
So do you use a side product of the honey business? As in, do you go to honey producers and then take the wax from there, or how?
No, there are specific suppliers. So there's about 56 different types of beeswax on the market, but there's only one that works with our other natural ingredients to make the coating work. So we kind of describe us as like the Coca-Cola recipe, like it's pretty top secret. But what I would say is that it's not just the coating on its own; it's with our whole production. So we use ex-Formula One engineers, and they've developed our bespoke machinery as part of the production process to make it all work. So it's a really infinite kind of. It's a very tricky process, and everything has to be aligned for it in order for it to work.
Sure.
Have you found that then, Eva? You were just saying, you were nodding along then when Kieran was saying that oats are quite difficult to work with. Have you found the same sort of challenges?
Yeah, definitely, especially in the beginning when we didn't know what we were doing, because neither of us have any food background. So that's why we spent 8 months on trying to figure out the recipe and how to do it properly. But then scaling up, we basically had to buy our own machinery, because if we were to go to a nut manufacturer, like a nut butter manufacturer, then they'll have the machinery, but obviously we want to be allergen-free.
Sure.
And yeah, it was challenging, but we got there in the end.
It's brilliant. Well, I mean, what I've really noticed, hosting Food Rebels is we get a lot of people on like you guys who are proper rebels. You are changing things, you're shaking it up, you're doing it differently. And the number of people who don't come from a food background and therefore aren't confined by the you can and you can't rules that if you've been in the industry for a long time, you don't realise, but you've got a load of biases that, that company tried it, or I've seen that. You just come in and go, how do we solve the problem? And you just find a way to solve the problem. And actually you find, another example is a holy moly. These two guys were BT engineers or something. And they were like, well, I just want to solve the problem. And they circumnavigated a whole load of challenges that anyone else in the market would have gone, it's been done. You can't do that. It's never going to work. And of course it does. It's really, really incredible.
Definitely. I think what's interesting, so I've been at UGT for about 14 months, come from a pet background. So all
Really?
my end consumer has always been pet.
Excellent.
So I've no food background whatsoever. And I, met the other co-founders. Again, they didn't have a food background. And kind of now, I know everything there is to know about food, MPD, and working with our product innovation person to kind of understand all the intricate details. But I remember in my first meeting being like, what have I taken on? Like, I'm sitting across really experienced people in the food industry that I have absolutely no idea what they're going on about, how humectants and how ingredients interact with one another. But it's really been a really fascinating journey. I think also I definitely think my thought process is different from those that are already in that industry, as you say. Kind of allows me to go, well, have you tried this? No. Okay, well, let's try it. Rather than be like, well, we know that won't work. It's like, but actually, do we know that won't work? And I think because our technology is very different, it allows us to push the boundaries when it comes to kind of what is the norm.
So how are you going about changing people's perspective?
Oh, Joy, it's challenging, but really exciting though. So I think kind of when I joined, the technology was hadn't been commercialised, so it kind of it was kind of at the lab stage, ready to kind of go into market. They kind of done some consumer sampling at events. So for me, it was about the brand. The brand had to get people's attention. Sustainability can feel overwhelming. A lot of people think they've got to do massive things to make a good impact for the planet. So the brand has been designed one good thing. So you can do your one good thing a day and swap your plastic wrapped bar for an OGT bar. But those small actions can amount to a big impact. So first of all, it's not shaming consumers for their current habits, but actually encouraging them to make those small swaps. And then a lot of it is on the street. So we work with Joe and George from Gogglebox. We got them on the street and getting people's live reaction to the bars. And we were at the National Running Show last weekend, a couple of weekends ago. So a lot of it is actually people go on our website. So we're a direct consumer business at the moment, and we launched retail in April. And I think you'll go on, and some people are like, yes, I'll be an early adopter, I'll try it. But other people are like, oh, this is a bit odd. So what we see is a massive amount of traffic to our site because there's an intrigue in the product and their tech. But actually, are they going to convert? And actually, it's a lot harder to get them to convert.
To actually buy it.
Definitely. But when you're kind of at an event sampling, so we sold out 2 days in a row at the running show, people were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so different. But I think you've got to try our product, which is in our industry, kind of when you're on a shelf fighting for space, which is why we're launching retail in April, the brand has to do a really strong job of getting our key messages across, because when you say you're plastic or you're wrapper free, you've got to have the branding around it to complement it. So when we go into retail, we've had to work really hard on our retail packaging.
So quick question, how does it work with obviously allergens? Because obviously on a wrapper you would have all the ingredients, so it can tell you exactly what it is, whereas if that was just as it is in a supermarket, you've got no information on that. So how are you getting around that?
Great question. So you could have the bars on the shelf without any other kind of packaging around it. Consumers aren't there when it comes to adoption. We can actually double label the bars, so we can actually print the nutritional information on the back of the bars on another label. But actually we're not ready. The consumers definitely aren't going to be ready to go into a shop and see one of these bars on the shelf and go, oh, that's hygienic, I'm going to eat it. So this is cardboard packaging, and again it comes in a multi-pack in a supermarket packaging, and we've also got a twin box. It's like a match box that you can kind of push out. So again, it's cardboard packaging, so that's fully recyclable, made out of 70% recycled material as well. So it kind of pays homage to our sustainability ethos while still retaining the integrity of being plastic free.
So you buy the bulk or however you buy, and then you take them out of the packaging and then put them in your pocket or your handbag or whatever it is,
quite literally.
Individually as it is. If I put that in my handbag, is the beeswax going to go all over the fabric or anything No,
it's pretty robust, to be honest. We've chucked them downstairs, you name it. We've done transit testing on the bars, people running, people on the commute. It will just be like an apple. So if you're really doing some aggressive workout with it in a bag, for example, you're going to get a bit of kind of a dent to the side, but that's pretty much it.
You should see what my handbag goes through.
Eva, I just wanted to ask about your granola butter. What are all the, it's obviously, I think of it as being a breakfast kind of a thing. Are there other times of the day that you would use it, like a pick-me-up in the afternoon or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can have it as a snack in the afternoon with an apple, or you can put on a rice cake, you can make a smoothie with it. Basically, the same way you use your nut butter. Like, I used to have nut butters breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you can use it. You can use this the same exact way. But we also had people saying, "Oh, I use the original flavor as a salad dressing." They'll mix it with some vinegar and mustard, and then like honey mustard.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
so
lovely.
Use this for that. So people get really creative.
That's brilliant.
Or you just eat out the pot.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd do that. And where can we buy it?
So we have an online website. We are also in Selfridges. We are on Ocado and on Amazon. And we recently launched with a big distributor, so we'll be in loads more independent shops.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And a pot, how much is a pot?
Retail price or?
Yeah.
£6.
Okay, lovely. Oh, it's really on a par with nut butters, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with almond butters. Obviously, peanut butter is a lot cheaper, but then almond
But the
butters,
good ones are at the same level, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you so much to both of you. I've really loved this OTE episode. Sadly, we've come to the end of the show, but thank you very much, Kieran from One Good Thing and Eva from Oat Avenue. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you to Georgie.
Oh, thank you.
You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please do follow us and rate us and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you taste the rebellion.